Good evening and welcome to the All Souls Music and Spirit Service for Sunday, June the 28th. I'm Reverend Don Chatfield, lead pastor here at All Souls, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this online service. I'd like to share with you a few opportunities that are coming up this week to remain connected with the All Souls community. But first, I'd like to share that today is the deadline for receiving financial pledges for the coming budget year. If you haven't yet had a chance to fill out your pledge envelope, I encourage you to go online this evening to our webpage where you can find a link to make a pledge to our stewardship campaign. On Tuesday night, the Search for Meaning group will be meeting at 7 p.m. on Zoom, and they are reading the book, God Was in This Place and I Did Not Know by Lawrence Kushner. On Wednesday evening, we will be continuing our community dialogue on racism, also on Zoom. And then on Thursday evening, our men's group meets from 6 to 8 p.m. You can find links and additional information for each of those on our website. Next weekend is July 4th weekend. We will have our Sunday morning meditation at 9 a.m. We'll be hosting a small group of up to 25 outside at All Souls. If you'd like to join us in person for that, simply go to the website beginning on Wednesday and you can make a reservation. On next Sunday evening, we will not be holding music and spirit service, either online or in person. But we will return with a small group for Music and Spirit the following Sunday on July the 12th. During the past 6 weeks, we have been experiencing, like so many, some financial pressures, and we are so grateful to so many musicians, both here in our community and across the country, who have donated their music to be used in our service. And so tonight we again have some wonderful local musicians who have provided their music very graciously to us for this evening's service. First, we have Dirt Wire, an American band consisting of David Satori, Evan Frazier, and Mark Reveley. We also have with us Pat Lambden, Zach Cohen, and Raphael Groten. So I encourage you to watch this video all the way to the end so you can see more information about each one of these wonderful musicians who are providing inspiration for our service this evening. We are winding down the theme for the month of June, which is building beloved community. And during the course of this month, we have been reminding each other about the kinds of character traits and behaviors that we want to encourage both in ourselves and at All Souls to deepen our connection. This evening, I'd like to share opening words from Jodi Picoult, who writes about the nature of community. Let's listen to Jodi together. Heroes didn't leap tall buildings or stop bullets with outstretched hand. They didn't wear boots and capes. They bled and they bruised, and their superpowers were as simple as listening and loving. Heroes were ordinary people who knew that even if their own lives were impossibly knotted, they could untangle someone else's. And maybe that one act could lead someone to rescue you right back.
Hi everyone, it's Reverend Kim Marie Glenn, and our chalice lighting this evening is inspired by that journey of the seed. So if we can compare the seed to ourselves, it's planted into the dark soil, and it has to muster up great faith and great hope and great strength to rise through the dark soil and make its way out towards the light so then it can grow. So this quote is by Desmond Tutu, who is a South African cleric, an Anglican, and human rights activist, theologian. Desmond Tutu said, "Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all the darkness." So I'm lighting the chalice this evening in honor of our collective light, of the journey it takes to keep great faith during times of darkness, knowing that ultimately it'll bring us to a place where we grow even stronger into the light.
Just when you think you can't possibly keep going, just when you think you're gonna give it all away, just when you think you got nothing else to give, just when you think you're gonna give it up, grab a hold of your courage, grab a hold of your heart, grab a hold of something, hold on tight till you make it through the night. Perseverance, perseverance, pay no mind to interference. Perseverance, you'll get the clearance. You're gonna make it through the night. Just when you think you can't possibly keep going, just when you think you're gonna give it all away, just when you think you got nothing else to give, just when you think you're gonna give it up, grab a hold of your courage, grab a hold of your heart, grab a hold of all the love that's deep inside of you. Hold on tight till we make it through the night. Perseverance, perseverance, pay no mind to interference. Perseverance, you'll get the clearance. You're gonna make it through the night, and after the night, there's gonna be a sunrise, and after the night, there's gonna be a sunrise, and after the night, there's gonna be a sunrise, there's gonna be a sunrise. Perseverance, there's gonna be a sunrise.
So talking about growing together, and I just love that song that Pat sang. It totally reminds me of the journey of the seed, the perseverance it takes to make it through dark times. I love when he says, it's gonna be a sunrise. So making that journey through the dark soil into the light, finally getting back into the light. And really that's what I want to talk about this evening, is all about growing together. How do we come together in unity so that we can create a better world and shed light on a lot of things that are dark right now? I just think of the concept of the garden and how the garden needs light. We can't grow anything in the dark. So I love this time that seems to be completely filled with opportunities to grow and to look and shed light on things that have been dark. And I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I'll speak for myself, this has been a time of tremendous growth on so many different levels. I've just been asked to grow in ways that I feel like I've never been asked to grow before. And I've been talking to a lot of you, and I know a lot of you have a similar story that you've shared. It's just that you're really getting to see parts about yourself that you haven't seen before, and really investigating different things in our culture, in our systems that need looking at. So I just wanted to say what a beautiful opportunity for growth. And when I look outside and I see beautiful greening of Vermont, I think about the cycles of growth, and I think about the ways we're asked to grow and then sometimes lie dormant. Like in the winter, I feel a little more dormant, but the summer and its energy and the spring always bring out new growth for me. So I really feel that relationship between the cycles of the seasons and my own cycle of growth myself. And this concept of growing, I know a lot of you are actual growers, you actually tend gardens, but I wanted to open up that concept of gardening or growing something into people tend beyond gardens so many different things. You can be a gardener of, your passions, or maybe a cause, or maybe your pet. Maybe you tend your pet, or a loved one, or a child, music or art, whatever it is that's calling you. We are all gardeners growing something. So that's what this is about tonight as well. How do we grow ourselves, especially during this time in history when we're being asked to grow? Is it that we go to places like All Souls, or we attend new classes, or we read new books to get to know more about what it is we need and ways we need to grow? And then how do we tend ourselves? Because when something is growing, if you're a gardener and you watch these tendril or these little tiny little shoots come out, when you're growing, you're very vulnerable as a little shoot. And that's when the bunnies love to come eat a little shoot. Those fresh shoots are so vulnerable to the wind and the storms and everything. So how do you also tend yourself when you're tending other things? When you're growing, how do you tend yourself? You make sure you get enough water. Be extra good to yourself when you're growing, because it's not always, it can be a fragile time. Not always, but it can be. So I wanted to talk about the word, which you'd probably think had nothing to do with growing, but seminary. And the word seminary is really about, you go to seminary because you want to get ordained or you want to become a minister. But the origin of the word seminary comes from the word seminarium, which actually means garden bed, or like a plant bed. So the concept is all about a place with fertile soil so you can grow to your highest good or your highest ability. And I love this word seminarium and this idea of, having a place where you go so you can be tended and get into your highest good. And it even goes back, if you go back into the origins of the word, the word semen, so it's about life-giving. There's also the word seminal or seminate, which is to sow. And then seminal is really about something that is put in fertile soil that then gives life. So all these ideas about what it's like if we tend ourselves in fertile soil, that we're then able to give even more life. Maybe then our plant can grow up so big that it actually gets more seeds and we actually continue to grow and then grow other things, and then they grow. And that's how things continue to evolve and continue on. So as I'm talking about all of this, I'm also just my own growing process. I really want to talk about how I believe, and I'm sure a lot of you are seeing this, we are not all given fertile ground. We see this in the roots of injustice and privilege right now that's being talked about. Not everyone is given a garden bed to be planted in, and how at times, depending on lives, are not given the same opportunities for growth. Matter of fact, seeds, like people, can be put in other places where they do not have the resources to grow. They don't have great schools, they don't have the funding for after-school programs, and it creates a cycle where they will not grow. Will they not be able to even live up to their full potential because so much is stacked up against their growth? So what I'm asking for this evening is for us all to consider what it would be like if we could put all the seeds in a fair ground. in fertile soil for everyone. And I know we just came from this amazing talk with Karen Chatfield and Don Chatfield. Thank you for hosting, all about what are our commitments as a community to actually change our understanding of our own relationship with racism and the ways that we may even play into it. Looking at white privilege, looking at re-educating ourselves, unlearning and learning new things. And how can we find ways to make it so we can have a unifying garden for everyone, where everyone gets what they need and everyone supports one another so we can all grow to our highest potential. I want to read a quick quote by Susie Kassem. She inspires me all the time. She has a book that's called Rise Up and Salute the Sun. And she's the daughter of a 19th century sage in Cairo, Egypt. She's a poet. She's really radical and amazing. She said that we are all born to be peaceful citizens of the world. Take care of your global garden. And do not allow evil gardeners to try and convince you which flowers are ugly or which flowers should be destroyed. This is God's universe, and He is the master gardener of us all. If you see ugliness in His creations, then you see ugliness in the Creator. Wake up. If we eliminate all colors in His garden, then what would be a rainbow with only one color? And what would be a garden with only one kind of flower? Why would the Creator create a vast assortment of plants, ethnicities, and animals if only one beast or seed is to dominate all of existence? So I hope we can all understand that we need each other all together. We need diversity. We need to learn from each other's cultures and religions and ways of being and thinking and doing. Diversity makes us stronger. And when I think about a garden that would actually sustain anyone for food or for even shade, for every reason you'd have a garden, for beauty, it would have a variety in it. And it would all be together. And the roots would be connected. And if not the roots actually intersecting, the mycelium underneath would connect everything, and everything would be one. And that's the way a garden works really well. It's when it's a network and everything works with each other. And I think about this concept of when you're actually gardening. I don't know if, for those of you who are gardeners, you'll understand this. There's a thing called companion gardening. And companion gardening means like you take two things and you put them together, and it actually helps, one thing will help the other thing grow better. So an example would be like, I used to grow beets and garlic together because the garlic actually had the ability to ward off a certain type of beetle that would often eat the beet, or moths that would eat the beet. And it also created like this antifungal, the sulfur it made created an antifungal, which then also helped the beets. So what I'm saying is things that you normally wouldn't put together, like I don't think I would eat beets and garlic together, they need to be together. They still grow together. I just think it's fascinating to think about the differences actually serving each other. And I want to read a quote from a civil rights awesome Black lesbian poet warrior named Audre Lorde. She said, "It's not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences." So we need differences. We need a variety. We need a rainbow. Consider the world of created beings, how varied and diverse in species they are, yet one sole origin. All the differences that appear are those of outward form and color. This diversity of type is apparent throughout the while of nature. That's a quote from the Baha'i Faith. So I want to ask us all to do an experiment, just like Karen and Dawn asked a wonderful thing, which was, what is our commitment to, racism, our own work with racism? And I know a lot of you are doing that, and I want to tack on another thing, which is I want to encourage you to get in touch with someone. It could be at the All Souls community, with the All Souls community, and it could be someone within your own neighborhood or someone you come into contact with that looks and seems different than you. I want you to approach them with a conversation and ask them a couple questions. I'm not going to tell you what those are, but I'd love for you to ask a couple questions and share something with them as well. And I ask because I was inspired by this quote. This is Gudjon Bergman. He's an author. He wrote a book called Experifaith. He said, at the heart of every religion, it's basically at the heart of every religion, there's experiential approaches and it improved interfaith relations. And he said that on the surface, we are all different. We ascribe to a variety of belief systems, attain our identity from various stories. We get our customs from diverse cultures and so on. And rightfully or wrongfully, we generally define ourselves by these differences. There is no denying that. However, when we look beneath all the surface, we discover certain certain universal elements. He also said, bridges are made with intention and possible to go between two places that were previously difficult to access. So I want to see ourselves imagining we're all in the same garden bed and that our roots can reach out to others that may feel different. And I want you to communicate with others that maybe you normally wouldn't. I want to extend an edge to push you to communicate and connect, to be a bridge, and to create a new garden where we're all together. Because we are better together. We serve each other better, and we'll be able to grow fully together. I'm going to end with a quote by mystic poet Rumi. He said, "Yesterday is gone and its tale told. Today new seeds are growing." So may you be a new seed to continue to grow a new garden where everyone has the same resources, nutrients, and growth opportunities. That we support each other and continue to grow together.
That's the first verse. Breathe, just breathe. Second verse. Be. Just be. Yeah, that's it. We'll go through it a few times.
Now is our time in our service to do prayer and meditation. So if you want to take a chance to get a candle or get into your comfortable seat, take a moment. You can lay down, do whatever you need for your meditation and your prayer time. And then when you're ready, we're just going to come into our bodies and our breath. And begin to connect with this part of you that is in this universal global garden. If you can imagine yourself, what would you even be in a garden? What kind of plant, herb, fruit, tree? Imagine yourself in the garden. I'm just going to do a visual meditation and also just ask a couple questions that you can ponder with your heart and your mind. So my first question is, if you're picturing yourself in this garden, what type of plant are you and why do you think you chose that? So imagining whatever you are, asking yourself, why am I showing up as this, this fruit, this tree, this, and see if anything comes. My next question is, how deep are your roots in this garden? Do you feel like you're deeply rooted in this garden? Or do you need to go deeper down in the earth? And I'm going to ask us all to actually visualize whatever it is in this garden that we are in, to go even deeper with our roots. So if we could imagine our roots going deeper into the earth and connecting to the earth, to the soil. We're going to send gratitude for the earth, for holding us, for continuing growth, stability, nutrients. Knowing something we all have in common here is we are all of and from this earth. So thanking the earth with any of your prayers you want to send to the earth, down your roots. My next question is, what are you rising up? What is helping you rise up? What is helping you grow towards the light? What is the source of light in your life that keeps you growing? It could be people, it could be spirit, it could be something that you're passionate about. What is almost the source of the sun that keeps you growing? And when you look around in your garden, how diverse is it? Just notice in your visualization what your garden looks like. Is it have a lot of wild plants everywhere? Is it more maintained in rows? Is it full of color, variety? Just noticing. And anything you want to see in your garden, in your own growth, just start to visualize that. You can bring in whatever you want into this garden. So, all your prayers, anything you wish for the global garden of the world, the one that you're a part of, the one that you actually are creating by living your life, what do you want to see? What prayers do you want to make in order to bring a healthy garden? What do we need to bring into our world to create healthy nutrients and a healthy functioning world where we all operate together? So you can bring in prayers of what needs to change. What is your vision? What is your tending? What is your part? And what is even the world around you? How does it shift? How do you envision the world operating? We are growing a new garden together with this visualization. You can even picture different types of people, maybe marginalized people, maybe people that don't have the same fair treatment. You can bring them into the garden and imagine nutrient soil and sun and water and all it needs to grow and flourish. So just imagine different things that you want to see grow in the world and flourish. Flourish. And really bring in all of your senses. So feel what it must feel like for this plant or for this thing to grow. You could even smell blossoms. Bring in all of your senses. I hope we'll continue to pray for a way for us all to continue to keep growing together in unity. Thank you so much for your prayers. So this is the time in our service where normally we have our offering. So for those of you who really appreciate All Souls, please donate. Thank you so much for all the donations that continue to come in, for all the ways you're growing our community. And we'll do this offering blessing together. So if you want to participate, you just put your hands out. And you can imagine in your hands whatever you want to bring into the world. So this concept of growing tonight, we could grow, more seeds of love, whatever it is that you want to grow. Imagine it in your hands. And you can bring it into your heart and say, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give. Thank you so much for donating to All Souls, for all of you who are continuing to grow our community. And please feel free to donate online, or there's a button below.
If anything altar, and I've made my bed. I've prayed my prayers, and I've cleared my head. I've met my shadows, and I've made my peace. I've watered seeds of ease. And love is everything, if anything, provide.
Thank you again for joining us on this online service this evening. We so wish that we could be together in one another's presence, and I want to thank all of you who have remained so dedicated to staying connected to this spiritual community during this very difficult time. I also want to thank those of you who've already made financial pledges to support our ministry in the coming year. And if you haven't yet done so, just a gentle reminder to visit our website before the end of the evening and to make that pledge. All month we have been thinking about how we build beloved community here at All Souls. And as Reverend Kim Marie has shared with us this evening, it's much like tending a garden, caring for one another, and also caring for ourselves. And part of that care is coming together in difficult discussions. So I encourage you, if you haven't joined us for our dialogue on racism in the past, we'll be meeting again this Wednesday evening at 7 on Zoom. And I encourage you to be part of that important discussion with us. We're specifically looking for ways in which we as individuals and the All Souls community can address racism in our time. A part of building beloved community is commitment, and Wendell Berry addresses that aspect in this evening's closing words. I invite you to join with me in a spirit of contemplation as we hear these words together. Lovers must not live for themselves alone. They must finally turn from their gaze at one another back to the community. If they had only themselves to consider, lovers would not need to marry, but they must think of others and of other things. They say their vows to the community as much as to one another, and the community gathers around them to hear and to wish them well. Lovers then die into their union with one another, just as a soul dies into its union with God. And so here, at the very heart of community life, we find not something to sell in the public market, but this momentous giving. And so as we move into the week to come, may we together nurture this momentous giving, both from ourselves and from the All Souls community. Many blessings for your week to come.